Welcome to the Naked Peaches. I'm Anna.
I'm Taylor.
And we are back, baby.
Yes, we are. I have something really scary to tell you about.
Tell me.
I started telling Anna about this morning, and then I was like, no, save it. I need to save this for the pod. I have a confession to make, first of all. Last week, I said I hadn't vaped in so long. It had been like a month. And then something came over me, and I just, one day, I saw Colin's vape on his desk, and I just, all of a sudden, it was in my mouth. And I was vaping, and I was like, let me tell you, when you haven't done it in a long time, it hits different. It feels really good. I felt like I was like getting high.
Were you like euphoric?
Yes. Like the relaxation I felt, I was like, yeah, it was literally like doing like heroin or something. And I was like just this overwhelming sense of like, everything's okay. And then I realized, wow, I've been really stressed out. Like this is really making me feel good.
Yeah.
So then, of course, I'm like, I can't do that again. But then, of course, I keep doing it again. So
yeah.
I've like multiple times now gone back for like a puff here, a puff there. And then like at the same time this is happening, I'm having this weird thing going on with my mouth. And I don't know if it's connected to the vaping, but like I thought that like maybe I had like a tonsil stone or something, which is gross, but I've had them before. And last night I was looking at my like throat and I noticed my tongue was all bumpy. Like I had these big bumps on my tongue and they're still there. Like I don't know what they are.
Is that normal to have a bumpy tongue? Is that?
No, it's not like little tiny bumps. Like these are like large, like the size of perhaps a penny.
What?
Not the size of a penny, maybe half a penny. Okay. But like
a dime?
A dime maybe? Yeah, they were big. I was like, I look like a frog. Like the texture of like what is this? And I mean I might be really exposing myself here, but I do have HPV, so I'm like, is it my HPV suddenly turned into warts? I've never had them before, but it can happen.
Wait, so it might not be related to the nicotine.
I don't know what it is. I need to go to the doctor. I like when I eat sweet things, my mouth hurts. Like when I ate a chocolate croissant the other day, my mouth was like stinging, and I'm just so like, sad. Something is wrong in here, and I don't know if it's related to the vaping. So that's my update. As I'm falling apart over here. My eyes been twitching for a week, so.
We have to unpack this really quick. Has Colin hidden the vape? I feel like this needs to be hidden and out of sight from you.
He usually hides it, but then sometimes he forgets, and I also sometimes find it when he hides it because I'm a monster.
So do you think you need to go back on the gum and the patch again, or do you think?
I think I probably need to start using the gum again when I want that when
you want the hit, like chew the gum instead.
Just thought it felt so good. It's so fucked up.
It's a process.
So I hope your updates are less scary than mine.
My updates are so boring compared. I'm just gonna talk about how like messed up I am because of daylight savings time.
Let's talk about it. Everybody hates daylight savings time.
This one is in some ways easier than the one in the fall, only because it's like lighter longer, which I appreciate, right? Like I hate when it's pitch black early. But I just feel like everything is, like, so messed up, and it's like I'm hungry all the time now because my body never knows what time it is. Just, like, waking up this morning, because I'm waking up extra early, and then it's like I'm trying to get a workout in, and I'm just, like, yawning on the yoga mat, and I'm barely doing anything, so, like, that's fine. Every year, they talk about how they've passed laws where it's not going to happen.
I know, and then every year it keeps fucking happening. Yeah. And it's like, can you get it together and just cancel it?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, all you have to do is take it off the calendar.
And isn't it here because of farmers? Like, isn't that the reason why? Yeah, which we're so far from this. And it causes, like, I know they've had studies where it's, like, way more accidents happen on the road, way more, like lost productivity for work for, like, the couple weeks after, all this kind of stuff where it's, like, we're done with this now. We don't need this anymore. Get rid of it.
I know.
Yeah.
What is Joe Biden doing?
We can write him an email after we podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna write Joe Biden an email after this. Okay, anyway.
So yeah, that's it.
I feel you.
Yeah,
I do.
I'm over it.
I hate daylight savings time.
Me too.
Also, your pet's food schedule gets all fucked up, and then Gosha escaped today when Anna came in because he's going crazy with his food schedule being off. It's just a lot. And then, like, kids, probably it's the same way, I bet, right?
Yeah,
like,
we kept her up late last night, and then, actually, she slept in, which was, like, I mean, quote-unquote, because of the time change. So that was nice, but now it's, like, I don't know, it's like everything's thrown out. So it's like Gavin was going to take her in this morning, And I was like, great, I'm like gonna get this stuff done on my to-do list. And then she slept in so late that he couldn't because he had a meeting. And so I was like, well, now I gotta take her in. Now that half my to-do list isn't getting done now. It's fine. But
Wow. Well,
it's okay. Kids, this leads into what we're talking about today.
yes, it does. Okay, should we introduce our guest?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So today our guest is Claire. Hi, Claire.
Hi.
We're so happy to have you.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here. And do you know how hard it was to keep my mouth shut during your opening? Hold on, Amanda, high five.
She was giving us hand signals.
Yeah. Amanda was like doing sign language in the corner, like trying to get us. Yeah.
That was so hard. I'm very proud of myself. I only made a few noises.
I'm proud of you too.
You did great.
You held it together really well.
Yeah.
Also, if you need to comment on any of that, there was a lot that was really unpacked there.
Oh my God. Well, first of all, you want to talk about neurochemicals with vaping? Jesus Christ.
It totally changes your chemistry and your body. I feel like my whole body felt different after I hit the vape. And it was like every cell in my body wants this. It's been programmed for this.
I could geek out about this shit, completely. And I could actually tell you how to get rid of it in therapy if you want.
Okay, we are going to have to
100%.
talk. Because, I need help.
And then, the stat about driving, 100% true. And it can take, some people say it's up to, a month for us to fully, integrate into this. It's so fucking stupid.
So it's 2 months out of the year. We're, losing.
We're completely fucked.
Oh, my God. It's so stupid. Get it together.
Yeah.
Well, Claire's a therapist.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
First of all, and also one of our former clients.
Yes.
So we met.
Future.
Yes.
Yes.
Once a client, always a client.
Yes.
You'll
Always,
be
completely
back.
true.
We'll find more ways.
Mm-hmm.
But you came to us for your bridal shoot.
I did.
It was so fun.
Mm-hmm.
We had the best time, and one of her photos is on the gallery wall in the room that we podcast in.
Which I didn't know until she was like, look.
You're
Cool.
famous. It's a great photo.
It is a great photo. There's epic photos from that shoot.
I mean, it was so much fun. And I feel like we just we had the best time with you, and you were so easy to talk to. And when we were thinking about past clients to bring on the podcast, you were one of the first people that came to my mind.
Cool.
So I was we have to bring her back. Yeah. Yeah.
I love you guys.
We love you too. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what you specialize in as a therapist?
I kind of do the cardinal rule you're not supposed to, and I have a list of specialties, but fuck it, whatever. So I do perinatal loss. So I deal with a lot of women and femme or those who are uterine bearing, experiencing miscarriage or difficulty getting pregnant, or even within the first few years losing a child. So within that, I also do generalized grief work. I'm trauma focused, which means if you got trauma, baby, come see me. And I do EMDR as one of my specialties, chronic illness as being a part of that community myself. I feel like I definitely can connect with a lot of my clients with that. And then abuse work. So I've done a ton of work in DV and in female genital mutilation and stuff like that. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm an art therapist.
Oh my gosh, wait, I
didn't know that part.
I feel like we maybe touched on that, but I forgot about that.
Yeah, it kind of blends in and out. So, without talking too much trash about regulation issues, it's really difficult to be both licensed in a creative arts therapy and licensed state-wise because they're not the same. So I decided to get my state licensure instead of getting my creative art therapist licensure because insurances will take your state license. And it's a crapshoot whether or not they'll take your LCAT, it's called, in most states. So.
Wait, what? If you were licensed statewide and then you also chose to become licensed as an art therapist, they would take away your state license?
No, they wouldn't take it away. It's just an extra test. It's extra funding. It's extra money.
Okay.
It's also state dependent because not every state has this.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck that. I'll just get my state licensure because I'm guaranteed to be boarded on insurance companies.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Licensing in general is a crazy racket.
Yeah.
It is a fucking crazy racket because it's a national exam you have to take.
Mm-hmm.
And every state has different requirements and I'll bitch about that later. But
Yeah.
Since we're talking about moms today,
Yeah.
I just wanted to give the very quick and amazing story that literally the day of your session was supposed to be my last shoot.
I
before
almost
had-
met you.
Yeah, my baby.
Wait, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like that Friday I had one shoot, and then it was supposed to, your shoot was on a Monday, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And then that Friday I remember talking to Taylor, and I was like, listen, like, I feel good. I have this appointment Monday. The baby might be coming, but like, I am starting to get a little tired. I'm like, you should just take it just in case. And then I'm at the hospital getting like just my normal appointment. Like, we're just checking on the baby, and Taylor's on the shoot, and I like text you guys to be like, oh, actually the baby's coming today.
Legit in the middle of our shoot, she's like, oh my god, she's having your baby. I was like, oh cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I had like a very fast labor, so like
Good.
I probably would have given birth in front of you had we been in the studio together.
I mean, who better to
Yeah,
do
right?
it in front of,
coach
you
you
know?
Yeah.
You're like, just it's okay.
Yeah,
You're doing great.
Everything's fine.
She would have kept you so calm.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I completely forgot
I know.
about that.
I did too
Yeah.
until the Valentine's Day party when we were talking, because so we have the one of your iconic photos in our studio that's like
Yep.
one of the display photos. And when I saw you at the party, I was like, why does she look so familiar? And Amanda's like, Anna, you're so stupid. Look at the wall. I'm like, oh, I see this photo every day. And I like forgot that it was you.
You know what's the best part about that? I didn't know it was on the wall until I was getting my tooth gem. And she goes, is that you on the wall? And I go, what? And I like look and I go, oh my fucking god, it's me! And she goes, you didn't know you were on the wall?
We
I go,
love to
"No."
do that. We love to just take photos and put them up and never tell the person, like, you're actually a work of art in my home.
We have you
Or my
18
studio.
by 24.
It was so funny. You are. Well, when we told the Facebook group and also just like some of our friends who are moms that we were going to be talking with you today, we got so many questions.
That's so cool.
We have a long list of things that we are like excited to ask you about. And I feel like
Awesome.
there's just going to be, I don't know, I just feel like there's going to be so many people listening to this who probably need to hear the things you were going to say. So,
All right, all the salt.
Yes.
And I'll do a disclosure statement like at some point too. And I
Yes.
brought props because I'm very interactive when I
Yeah.
do therapy.
I'm so excited about the
So
props.
excited. Okay, so we kind of broke up the questions with like for new moms, general mom questions, and then pregnancy, trying to conceive. So those
Cool.
are our general categories.
And before we ask a question, so like my quick disclaimer
Tell
is
us.
this is for entertainment purposes only. This is neither to treat nor diagnose nor tell you exactly what to do with your life. This is a bunch of like, we're conversationally going through this for general answers and experiences based on my time as a therapist. That good for everybody?
Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely.
Nice.
Love
Don't sue
that.
me, board.
Okay, so one of the first questions, and I'm going to try to group some of these together because I feel like they're intertwined, but you can tell me if I'm wrong.
All right.
But we had questions about like tips on coping with like feeling resentment towards your partner, like
Perfect.
after
Love this
you know
question.
becoming a mom. Also, there was a lot of stuff about just like the mental load and dealing with all that.
Yep.
And then similar to that was just like the like identity shift of like now you're this
love
mom.
that
So
question.
I feel like those three kind of are together.
They can go hand in hand, definitely. So for this, I'm going to bring out my props. We have the Damn It doll. Now, I attached a string to it because some of my clients like to throw it and then don't want to get up and get it. So they put it around the wrist, throw it, and reel it back in.
Okay.
So Damn It dolls are great. One, you can self-soothe. A lot of my clients
Can you
will
describe what
self-soothe.
it looks like?
Yeah, it's a really freaky looking voodoo doll. With like a little poem. So whenever things don't go so well and you want to hit the wall and yell, here's a little Damn It doll that you can't do without. Just grasp it firmly by the legs and find a place to slam it. And as you whack the stuffing out, yell, damn it, damn it, damn it.
Wait, so
we have
this
a Damn
is
It
a
doll.
thing that you can buy. This is
Oh,
just-
100%. You can buy this.
I will be buying this for
I need
all,
this.
all
Yes.
my friends. If you have a birthday coming up, you're getting a Damn It doll.
Oh,
Yes.
fuck yes. My clients love it. I also have a red flag. Now, I yell red flag at my clients all the time. And so, this is nice. I just wave it. If I'm like, fucking hell. Like, red fucking flag. And they're like, okay. I do a lot of sassy things as a therapist, and those clients find me. So, we match up
I
very
love
well.
that.
So we have a red flag that I'll probably wave today. And then I have a permission slip. So I'll give this out. It's permission to basically emote. And it's do all these different things that might be deemed difficult, hard, inappropriate by society, etc. So like on here is also permission granted to stop, to start, to try, to wallow. I love that one. To love, to feel, to dream, etc. So I like this one. Sometimes it's nice to get a little tactile thing from the therapist. So we have the permission slip. And then coping skills deck. So sometimes I love my clients dearly, and they sometimes won't fucking listen to me. So sometimes I think it's easier if they can pick a coping skill suggestion instead of me rattling it off verbally whenever they see me and me asking like, so have you been doing your coping skills? And I'm like, no. So instead they can pull a card, they can take a photo of it, we can do it in session. And actually this company is someplace where I got my hat.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Her hat says therapy is cool.
Yes, I felt like I had to rep it. So
We can link this company in the stories too.
Yes.
So
oh
people
yeah,
can see.
it's heytiffanyrowe.com, I think.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then I have a list of daily affirmations
Love.
for my clients to take
Perfect.
if they want. So like I'm going to slay today. I won't apologize for being myself. I'm growing and own up to my mistakes. Stuff like that.
Did you make this?
No, I actually got this from a company that is called Hell Babes, and they make like really sick T-shirts and shit, and they like just put it in there, and I was like, I'm gonna take this to therapy.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and then I have my EMDR wand, which yes, that sounds freaky because it is. I usually don't use my wand anymore. We use digital stuff, or it'll go back and forth. So EMDR. So it's eye movement desensitization reprocessing. So with eye movement, we can disrupt a lot of traumatic thoughts and etc. So anxiety, depression, grief, whatever you want really. If you have OCD, if you have, you can get an addiction. So that was like my 2 cents is like, you could literally get EMDR on that vape and you'd never want it again.
Say less. I might be making an appointment with you after this.
Like it's a really easy session too. And just through like eye movement, it's really, really cool. And then I have my last one, which is smellies. So sometimes when we're doing trauma work, it can be very cerebral, so very brain, intellectual oriented. And to be able to cope with some of the stuff that we might uncover or the difficult things that we're dealing with, sensory coping skills are fantastic. So the 5 senses, right? So what do you see? What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you hear? What do you touch? There we go. And then so I have a little roller that's a stress-free roller that smells really lovely.
This smells delicious.
Ooh.
How do you describe that smell? What is that?
It's like kind of fruity. Like some citrus in it for sure.
Kind of like a Sprite almost.
Yeah, it's like a Sprite. That is exactly what it
really
smells
good.
like.
Very light smell. And then so I'll put it on a cotton ball and then I'll give it to my client so that they can smell it, or I say, here's your huffer.
Yeah.
Huff on it. And it can help them bring them to the present, which is really, really great.
Wow.
That's my bag of stuff.
That's so cool. When I was a kid in dance, we had someone who would come to our recitals. It was one of the teachers. She had this like minty stuff that she would give everybody while you were like waiting in the wings to go on stage, and you would like rub it in your wrist, and it was like very calming and soothing. And I have like really vivid memories of like that actually calming me down before going on stage. So I feel like
sensory stuff is legit.
Yeah.
It's really cool. All right, let's do these questions.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So back to that, like, first, I guess, grouping of 3. So, the resentment towards your partner, the mental load, and then this, like, whole, like, identity shift of, like, nothing matters besides, like, the fact that you're a mom now.
Yeah, where do y'all want to start? Those are really, really good ones. I guess we can kind of go in chronological order. First, like, hashtag I'm not a mother, first of all.
Yeah.
And in therapy, I go off of my clients. So if they come in with something, that's what we work on. Even if I end up having a plan due to any sort of like treatment protocol, they lead. So I'm never in the business of telling people what to do, which is like the biggest issue I think that people have with the Stutz documentary, is that he tells you what to do.
Yeah.
And barring like physical harm or homicidal harm, like ideation, I can't tell you what to do. So sometimes it helps that I'm not a mom, sometimes it can hinder, and I try to be as open with my clients as I can about that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we can talk about weaponized incompetence. I love that.
Yeah.
Do you all know what weaponized incompetence is?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We
But you
fully
should
were.
tell the posse in case somebody listening is
Ooh,
unfamiliar.
all right. So weaponized incompetence, one of my favorite things to talk about, because now primarily it shows up in a hetero partnership. However, it can show up in any, and I can have examples from both. And so a lot of it has to do with our inherent conditioning. And most of it as females or femme presenting, when we're really little, we're given kitchen sets and we're given tiny vacuums. We're given chores like, let's help mom do the dishes, let's do these things, let's learn how to cook. Whereas boys are given like trucks and different things like that. So from the very beginning, they're conditioned not to see what we see. And that can really suck when we're an adult and we're all of a sudden holding the space for cleaning the entire house and seeing, I love to use the example, like I dearly love my partner and we work on his weaponized incompetence all the time, and he's really open to it. Like, I think you have to be if you're married to a therapist. And he's a gem. He's really good. But what I will tease out is that fucking hair corner. There's a bathroom that's his primary bathroom, and I'm the only one who sees the fucking hair corner. I'm like, how do you, like, he's got black hair. I'm blonde. Like, you know whose hair that is. And I'm like, why don't you see the fucking corner? Like, what? And then initially, his phrase that I know many of y'all's listeners are going to be like, oh my God, bitch, yes. I don't see what you see.
Or if you just tell me what to do, I'll do it. That's a big one too.
Yep. Like you want to see everyone just start raging, right? And so with that, it becomes how to have this conversation with your partner who doesn't see what you see, all the air quotes, right? Who doesn't know what's important, right? First, like I like to use I feel statements like every other therapist. Like, I feel like I deserve to live in a clean home. I feel like I deserve to be helped in this home, to be in a home with a partner, right? And even the word help can be difficult sometimes because it can blend completely into the child rearing too. Especially like, and I'm going to apologize, some of my references are going to be primarily hetero examples because this kicks up mostly in hetero couples, and I work with everybody. Mm-hmm. And so how do we safely have this conversation without triggering the defensive behavior of our partner?
Yeah, that's the hard part.
That's really fucking hard. Usually is like get his ass to a therapist, like get thee to a therapist, like if I have my way. Which I don't always. Sometimes I get my way. But usually I say use other resources. So I've got this wonderful iconographic done by Volga Drawings. She has a fantastic Instagram. And like I can give you guys the link.
Yeah, well, yes.
She calls out a lot of these weaponized incompetence situations, and she gives you like an entire cartoon that describes it. Why I think that's an easier way of broaching the subject is I usually like tell my clients of like, you can use language like, hey, I read this thing or I saw this thing and I felt deeply affected, or it really resonated with me. I'm wondering if you could look at this. That is so much safer than using you statements, which I always tell people it's like wagging a finger at you, like you did this and you don't see this, right? And immediately you're like, excuse me, like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like you're not open to a conversation. So that can make it a little bit easier. So I usually have my clients, like, if they are open to that, they'll send their partners lots of different things on Instagram, on TikTok, just because it makes it less, confrontational and less defensive. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I like
It's a little
that
bit
idea.
easier. And we feel validated, too.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you. Or I always say you can use me as an excuse. Like,
Yeah.
Claire said. I'm like, that's fine. Like, come for me. Like, see what
I'm
happens.
excited to see this this graphic, and like
Me
I
too.
feel like I'm
it's
sure
my favorite.
a
It's
lot
my
of us will
absolute
relate.
favorite. Yeah, he's like the energy vampire or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really good. And then so the other one too. So we've got the issues with the partner. Mm-hmm. There's also, and it's kind of trending right now, which makes me happy. It's called Fair Life. So it's a book, it's a game, it's a documentary that recently.
Fair Play.
Fair Play,
right?
yeah, Fair Play Life. Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. And it kind of breaks it all down and how to fairly distribute the weight in the relationship, in the partnership, and in the parenting. And that's a great non-defensive way to do it too.
And there's like a card game
Yeah.
where you can like, it's something where you like sit down and you go through all the cards and you take the ones that you're responsible for, and then you see like a visual of like, she's been doing 80% and you've been doing 20%.
Yeah. Or how often it comes up in work that I've done where it's like, I feel like I have to redo what he's already done.
Yeah.
Because he didn't fucking do it right the first time.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what is right? Like, part of this work too for us in these partnerships where we feel like we're doing 80 or whatever the percentage is higher, we have to hold space for them to fail. Now that's hard because we may not be quite capable of tolerating the time in which it takes for them to catch up. Again, conditioning since we're itty bitty. So that's where our work really comes in, is like the grace, holding that grace and holding that space. Now, if they're not doing the work, you don't have to hold shit, but if they are trying, like, then it's like, okay, like, breathe, girl. Like, you got this. Like, I know it's frustrating, and change takes time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I can be that way sometimes. Like the impatience for anything that's not perfect. Anna's seen me freak out on Colin about it before.
Oh, it's hard. It's like I read this book called Hunt, Gather, Parent that have you read it? Yeah, I love that book, but it was talking about little kids basically, and like little kids are going to be like learning things, and like you just need to let them fail and like kind of like let them keep contribute, like let them vacuum bad, you know, and like let them vacuum bad over and over and over again, because eventually like they'll just be like vacuuming because the house needs to be vacuumed kind of thing. It's like so an example. And like sometimes I like think about that with like basically what you just said, like with my partner. Not that I like treat him like a child, but just in the sense of like this was not clean the way I would have cleaned it, or like, you know, he cleaned the whole kitchen but didn't wipe off the counter at the very end, which is like my like I just see the crumbs
sink.
And
the sink is one too.
Yes,
and definitely had a conversation yesterday.
Yeah, like it makes me want to die, but I'm like I need to just move on, or I need to go just wipe it really quick and just go to bed, or you know whatever it might be. But
Yep. And it's like, it's so hard to negotiate of like, what feels appropriate, what feels like more work, right? Yeah. And that's why I say like, what is our work? Our work is to hold the space. And that's why it can really, really suck sometimes. And it's also figuring out in what ways you feel like you're advocating for yourself versus telling your partner off, because that's just not going to be fun.
Yeah. It can be hard to tell the difference sometimes.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm a huge, huge advocate because I'm loud, I'm dramatic, I'm sassy. And it comes out in the best ways and also the worst ways. So with my clients, like I've always said, like, what's bad about that? I think so often we get told that our sassy bits, our loud bits, our angry bits, our dramatic bits are this negative thing. And we get farther and farther away from them. And in that, I'm like, what if we have a fucking conversation with that part of us, right? Of like, without going into too stereotypical parts work, all the air quotes. It's like, why is that part of us? Why is she here? What brought her here? How has she helped you in the past? Like, if you're getting fucking pissed, you're pissed for a reason. Maybe we shouldn't go off and start screaming. And like, what if she's here because she wants to protect us, or loudness has saved our asses in the past, or we don't want to be not heard, or whatever it may be. So have a conversation with that part. Don't shame that part away. She's you.
Appreciate all the parts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I say hold hands, right? I'm like, just hold hands and be like, bitch, I got you. Like, I thank you for this volume. Like, and let's not light him on fire, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Like, all right, like, I hear you.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's because we don't feel heard, or we feel belittled or patronized or completely dismissed, right? Or manipulated is a big one. Like gaslighting can be done by anybody without their understanding what it is. And they don't have to be inherently abusive to do it. And so a lot of times that can get kicked up. So I will invite my clients, I'm like, throw a tantrum. Why not? Like, stomp your damn foot. Like, do it. What's bad about it? Well, I feel ridiculous. I look ridiculous. I'm like, and?
Like, you have them, like, throw a tantrum in therapy with you.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a safe place to do it.
Yep. And, like, my husband makes fun of me all the time. Like, what was it, last week, maybe 2 weeks ago? I was overstimulated. I was overactivated. I probably didn't eat enough. And so touch hangry, and I was frustrated about something, and so I was like, what? And I stomped my foot. And he's in the kitchen, he kind of looks over, he goes, did you just stomp your foot? I was like, yeah. And he bursts out laughing, and I wasn't laughing yet because I was still in my tantrum.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's ridiculous. Like, why? I'm like, because it felt good, okay? Right? I'm like, I could get all neurochemical up in here. I've been like, you need the release of cortisol to be able to re-regulate and down-regulate, and the reasons why that's good for your central nervous system. But I was still like activated, so I was like, fuck you, I'm gonna have a tantrum.
So what you're saying is having a tantrum can help you be less stressed.
Yes,
okay.
It's why toddlers, and I can kind of like blend this a little bit probably to some toddler conversations we're about to have because of their pain.
Yeah, we had a lot of questions about like mom rage towards toddlers.
Yeah.
There's multiple
Dealing
questions.
with toddlers.
Love that shit.
Yeah.
Because if your toddler is having a tantrum, good. It means they're actually on schedule, for lack of a better word, developmentally. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to have one. We don't get squished, shamed, or told to shove those parts of us away until we get a little bit older. But unfortunately, it can start when we're a toddler. Because Jesus Christ, have you heard a toddler scream? Oh, you have this the amount of work I do with moms, and like I was a nanny for years too, and I know not the same thing, and of like you just want to cover their mouth of like stop.
Yeah,
right?
you have like this visceral reaction where you're like, shut the fuck
Right?
up.
I'm like, must you go that loud?
Yeah.
And it's about the silliest thing. Like they took a bite of their cookie, and their cookie is no longer whole, and now they're screaming on the floor. Yeah. And you're like, I don't know what to do with that. Yeah. You ate it. You're the one who took a bite. Like, why are you screaming at me? Right? And it's because, like, sometimes we need that. Their little brains are trying to do this for the first time. They are brand spanking new. They get a right to throw a tantrum. Just like we, when we're older, ignore all of our flags, yellow, red, right? It'd be like, bitch, when's the last time you ate? Are you doing 7 things at once? Oh, do people suck at driving here? Yeah, that's right, I went there. Wow, I'm really frustrated. Did you help yourself during that process? No, cool, great. Now I'm gonna throw a tantrum because it was hard, and life is hard, and now I feel better.
Taylor and I are both notorious for getting hangry. It's like lunchtime, we always schedule meetings or something or content or whatever between the hours of 11 to 1, which we really should never.
We need to stop.
We need to stop doing it, but we always do it, and then we always take it out on our husband.
Yeah. I actually made a rule with my husband a while ago that I can't come home from a photo shoot unless I've eaten. That is
that's a
rule.
Great rule.
Yeah.
That is a great rule.
We got in so many fights just because I was hangry when I came home.
Yeah.
Because we would shoot until 2, and I haven't eaten anything since 8 a.m. and I'd just be a monster. And like finally it was just like, okay, no more of this. Like we can't be around each other if I'm hungry.
I love that rule. That's a fantastic rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, my husband just gets quiet. Like he's like, oh my God, a bear in the forest. Like, I can hear her coming. Like he just gets quiet, and he'll look at me and I'm like, I haven't eaten enough, have I? And he goes, no. He goes, no sudden movements. I was like, all right. Give me that bar.
Yeah.
So what can we tell some of our mom friends that have these toddlers that send them into the toddler rage? What are some coping mechanisms they can have?
They're allowed to leave the room.
The moms.
They're allowed to leave the room. The last thing we want is to isolate our freaked out children, right? And for our sanity and our sake, like, leave the room. Just let them know you'll be back. Like, you can say, like, honey, I know this is hard. These are very big emotions, and I know I'm going to explain why this is hard to do in a second. But besides the obvious reasons, you have big emotions. I see you're frustrated. I see you're angry. Mom needs a second, right? Or dad needs a second, or, you know, partner, grandma, whoever, like, friend needs a second. I will be right back. To keep my body safe and to keep your body safe, I'm going to go to the other room. Now, most likely you're going to get a then hysterical tantruming child to scream and chase after you, right? Like, that's okay. Sometimes even going to a different environment can change how they behave. So if you're being chased down by a screaming gremlin, that's fine. Do your breathing, talk to yourself, have your little stomp tantrum, right? You're like, ooh, maybe I need a snack, right? And come back to it when you're ready. Because believe me, they'll keep going. Now, you're allowed to have your moments of like, oh my God, stop, right? Because we're human, that's fine. You're also allowed to then be like, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. We never have to be the best person in the room. We never have to be the most regulated in the room. We do get to teach these kids that making a mistake is okay, that apologizing is okay, what a real apology is, which is acknowledgement of a wrongdoing and then an adjustment in behavior, right? It's a two-part. We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to be like, I yelled. I didn't mean to. And that was scary. And I'm sorry. How can I help, right? Or I'm going to remove the toy so you don't hit so-and-so with the toy. I'm going to put it up here, right? Because it's not safe. So we want to keep our bodies safe. Now, these are really, really difficult to do. Take as many breaks as you want. Breathe as much as you want. You can fuck up as much as you want. It just matters that you keep trying. Because the last thing we want to do is usually become our parents who put us in our rooms, right? Woof. Like the amount, like first of all, as a millennial too, we are doing such huge work in we're the generation in the most therapy. Now read into that however much you want. I have opinions. And we are breaking so much transgenerational trauma. We're doing a lot of the work, which is fantastic. And sometimes we're going to revert and act like our parents, which sucks. That can be traumatizing too for us and our kids. We can say, whoopsie doodle, my bad, I apologize, here's what we're doing instead. And kids respond to that because you're their parent. You're their safe person, safe place. If you isolate them, then you're basically telling a brand new person in the world that they have to figure it out, that their emotions are bad, that if they keep doing their big emotion, they're going to end up alone. And you don't need me to tell you how often that shows up for us.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's just repetition is a parent's best friend, honestly. Where it's like, my bad, let's try again. My bad, let's try again. And I can provide multiple books too and references that break it down, that give you that moment of sanity, like, oh my God, just let me read this part. like, okay, I can do it. But yeah, we're learning this for the first time too, because most of the time, right, like maybe a little bit of shade, like our parents didn't do it very well. So we have no reference.
So I actually had a couple friends ask this. How do you know the difference between like normal, big life change, whatever, versus if you have postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression?
Yeah.
And then also we had a couple people ask about like dealing with accepting like your postpartum body and like your new body as a mom.
Yeah. Love these questions. So luckily most, if not all, but for the lack of black and white statements, most OBs will have you take a screener. So whether or not you're necessarily aware of postpartum anxiety or postpartum depression or even psychosis, which is part of it too, hypothetically, because it can lead to that sometimes in extreme cases, you're given a screener. Now this screener can look like a smaller version of any of our screeners that we would give for generalized anxiety or depression. So it's, are you preoccupied more often than not with like the death of your child or like different things like that? Or are you able to get out of bed? Are you able to feed yourself? Do you feel like you're showering regularly? Different check boxes. And many OBs will flag it, right? And that's generally how I then get those clients, is because they're like, hey, like my doctor said I am either primed for postpartum anxiety or depression, or I'm currently experiencing it. So if you're not getting that flag from your doctor, have you had a history of anxiety previously? Now that's not required. It doesn't always like predestine you to have anxiety or depression postpartum, but it hopefully gives you a little bit of awareness when it's bad, right? Of like, it's more of, oh goodness, what's a common anxiety, right? Of like, if you can't stop the negative self-thought and it just eats at you, right? Everything you do, it's like, I suck, I'm a terrible mom, I shouldn't be doing this, why did I think this was a good idea? Like those type of things, like, hi, you should probably call me. Like, it's not good, sweetie, right? Or it can also affect fathers as well. It can affect any person who has a baby, whether that's adoption or any way you want, or can have access to getting a child legally. I feel like I have to add that. Yeah. And so when you come in, right, we'll talk about it. Like, how does this show up for you? What does it look like for you? Like, probably the question you're never going to hear me ask in my office is, how are you feeling? Or how are you? Because especially being a therapist during the pandemic, that was a dumb fucking question. It's like, I'm doing shitty, duh. Yeah. Like, bitch, same.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah. Like, fuck you, right?
I literally this morning I saw this thing that was like, on Instagram where it's like pictures of tweets or whatever that like
how we absorb Twitter.
Yeah. But it was some like CNN study or whatever that was like, oh, it turns out like the pandemic actually wasn't that bad on mental health.
Saw
Did you see
that.
this?
Fucking
Did you see
liars.
this? Okay,
No.
so everyone was tweet
God.
responding. They're like, oh really? Because this is what I did during the pandemic, and it was like I like built like a little mock city of like whatever. Or, like I did just like the most
access to humanity.
Someone was like, we had a corner in our house where we were throwing beer bottles, and it was our glass corner. And, like, they were just like the most crazy. Like everyone was just like responding to how they were coping.
Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Which doesn't match any of the other data. I want to know who the fuck came up with that stat.
Yeah.
Who paid who?
Yeah, I mean, it's been literally impossible to get a therapy appointment for the last 3 years because everyone's in fucking therapy since the pandemic.
And this is not as a tweet my own horn statement. This is I panic about this too. I had a wait list before the pandemic started. Oh my God. I tried to get a therapist during the pandemic because I was like, for the first time in my life, I'm experiencing the exact same thing as my clients. I should probably talk to someone. And I love therapy. I was in intensive, like, full disclosure, I had PTSD. Bad, like complex PTSD. I was in therapy for 6 years. Shout out, Jenna, love you. Like, I definitely benefited from it. And when she closed me, I like threatened her. I was like, if I was to fake like a full-on crisis, could you tell? She's like, shut up, girl, yes. Fuck.
I know, it's so hard to break up with a therapist that you love. It's the worst.
Oh, it's the worst. I have so much compassion for my clients when I'm like, you don't need me anymore. And then like, let's cry together. Like, I will happily cry with a client. Like, I am out. So if that's not completely obvious, I also talk with my hands a lot. So I'm trying really hard not to hit the mic.
It's hard.
It's so hard.
I'm a hand talker too.
Yeah, like it's all the hands. I think that getting in as many wait lists as you can is a good idea. One of the things that I've recently seen, unfortunately, is a lot of therapists are doing away with their wait lists. Now, I understand, believe me, having my own mental health stuff that I work through. The last thing you want to do is constantly call and get told no, right? I would pick a list of therapists that you like their profiles. Like, look on Psychology Today. There's a ton of ways to maybe preemptively get to know your therapist. Pick ones that you like their vibe. Most of us, we answer the calls still. Hopefully, I have a shit list of therapists in the area that I don't refer to, but that's fine. But of if you really want to see that person, call once a month. I always say we have highs and lows in our scheduling. Great time to call is in January because deductibles reset. Clients always forget that their deductibles reset. They panic at their deductible payment and then they bounce. Because for financial reasons, I understand completely. Sometimes they need to pull back, save some money. For full transparency, I warn my clients in October to remind them about January reset every year. And still every now and then I'll get a, and I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. Like, I don't set the amount. Like, it's not me, don't hate me. So in that, we usually have a big reshuffle. You can usually get a therapist during that time. Another time that is hypothetically coming up is the beginning of summer. People go on vacations. Some therapists get fucking annoyed that they have giant gaps in their schedules because, like, for me, I don't have a salary. I don't get paid unless y'all show up. So because of that, we might take on temp clients, or my favorite way to put it is, hey, I would love to start seeing you. I can't guarantee you a weekly spot, but would you like to be a floater? Whenever I have a cancellation or someone's out of town, you'll be the first one I call and you get dibs. And I almost always have someone being like, bitch, please. Yes, I'll take it. And then at the end of summer, because school restarts and most of the people in the world, like at least in ours, schedules flip-flop. So in there, you have another wiggle room spot. So there's 3 times a year. That's the best time to get in if you've been trying to get in, which is January, usually May to June, and then August to September.
Those are such good tips.
Yeah, that is a really good tip.
That's some insider info right there.
Yeah. And then like back to the postpartum anxiety and depression, hopefully you're going into someone who knows how to work with those, and they're going to assess you as well. And through that, like, it's not a death sentence. It won't last forever. It might be something that you have to be aware of. I think the scary part of postpartum anything is that it can last a lot longer than we think. I know clients who've experienced it until their kid was 7 or 8. Like,
Wow.
It lasts
that's
a
scary.
lot.
That's really scary.
Well, because the concept of postpartum we think is temporary. Technically, you're postpartum after like giving birth forevermore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like we don't even have to go into the stuff that aren't my specialties, but your abdominal wall, your vagina, your vulva, did you get sewn up or not? Like we can immediately go into one of the topics you had mentioned, which was reconnecting with your body after birth, right? The amount of awareness that we don't want to have with our body, because it's like, I don't know this bitch. Like, right? Like, these boobs are not doing what they used to. Like, they're not just for show, like a boudoir shoot. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right? Of like the chapping nipples, the pulling, the biting, right? Of like, and again, hashtag not a mom. And I can have a lot of compassion for this. I don't have empathy for it because I'm not one. And I can have a lot of compassion for it. So I think we immediately step into this area where it's, I need to get my pre-baby body back. Wow, say that 10 times fast. And you've just had 9 months of your body expanding, changing. Your center of gravity has shifted. Your back muscles don't work the same anymore. Your abdominal wall doesn't work the same anymore. Bipelvic floor, right? Of like all these different things. And now you have a tiny creature demanding all of your time. Who the hell has time to go to the gym? Right?
Yeah, I don't know how people who do with little kids do it.
And you're shamed for it. And I think that's what sucks so bad is like when I'm working with my postpartum clients, I'm like, you're allowed to love you for you at every stage. And that also means being like, all right, bitch, I don't like you right now, right? And I still think you appreciate and deserve love.
Yeah.
So let's give you a fucking break, right? And this is not even if you had a C-section, which, by the way, is abdominal surgery. Give the bitch a break. Like, oh my God. Like, give her a second. So a lot of the times, like, I'm a huge advocate of self-pleasure for clients, especially when they're in their healing process, because it's like, I don't know what that thing just did. Like, I don't want to look down there. It's different, right? You could have nerve damage because maybe you tore, right? So that is a lot of self-exploration of being like, okay, maybe I'm 13 again and I don't know how my body functions. Where's that compact case? And I'm gonna like post up in the bathroom and be like, what does this bitch look like? Right? I'm like, right? I'll be like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't look how I used to, right? And it's being like, okay, what do I like now? And you don't have to jump into sex. That's not what this is for. It's more of a like, are you even connected to that piece of you anymore? And for many people, it's like, nope. I'm afraid to go there. And I don't blame them. You pushed a baby out. Like, there's going to be changes.
Yeah, I feel like most women are, like, terrified of what's going on down there after they push out a baby.
Yep. And I love how one of your past guests, she talked about how, you know, she didn't want to have sex postpartum. And y'all were having that discussion. And that's so common, too, because your hormones are fucking everywhere. So then she was like, baby, if you want to go get banged by somebody, like, you can totally open up our relationship and do that. And I was like, you know what, go queen. Like, good for you. You know, hopefully you're able to have, like, a safe, open conversation about that. But yeah, it's a whole process. So, and it's also cutting your body a break. Do slow movements. Eat enough, for God's sake. Eat enough. If you want your brain to recover, if you want your body to recover, you have to eat enough, which is scary too. So,
do you feel like you see that a lot of like new moms not eating enough?
Yes.
Because they're busy or because they're trying to bounce back?
Both. Or both. In general, I see most femme-presenting people not eating enough. And I had an eating disorder myself for a very long time. Honestly, what millennial femme didn't?
Yeah.
Thanks, 90s and early aughts with the fucking low-rise jeans. Stay away.
I'm right there with you.
Oh my God. Panic buy all of the high-waisted. No, don't leave me. Right? Of like, please eat enough. Like, if you are choosing or capable of breastfeeding, you have to eat to be able to keep up your breast milk. And then I talk about the brain a lot, where our bodies, when we're not fed, will eat us. And it's that scary. I love to use this stat because it's terrifying. The top mental health disorder that kills people, besides opioid addiction, is anorexia. It's not depression, it's anorexia.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Kills the most people besides opioid addiction. And I don't think it's talked about enough. If we're just regularly told not to eat enough, like, and to make us as tiny as possible, you know, we're doing a huge disservice. Like, our brains shrink. It can look like we've had traumatic brain injury. When we experience trauma, when we experience any sort of either internal, mental, or physical trauma, there's the potential of our hippocampus, which is our body, the part of our brain that does the executive functioning. So making sound decisions, it shrinks.
Wow.
We need it. We need it. We need to make those decisions. And if we're already like new parents, you're sleep deprived. But yeah, so reconnecting with your body is incredibly important. Do it gently. Have compassion for yourself. Have grace. Like, I'm not religious at all. I always tease my clients that I'm the resident atheist in the room. And we can still have grace for ourselves. So it's like, all right, well, I can only go this far. Good for you. Like, go off, queen. Like, be gentle with yourself. It's a whole process. Like, I always talk about novel movement. So what is novel movement? Movement that gives you joy. We love, going back to vaping as a perfect example, we love dopamine. We love serotonin. We crave oxytocin, right? These neurochemicals that make us like just warm and fuzzy and happy, right? If we are stressed out, if we are sleep deprived, if we are, a new parent, right? Yeah. The last thing we're thinking about is ourselves, usually, besides like, I'm fucking tired. It's probably your primary one. And so I say, like, try. Like, if I usually ask the scary question of, what do you do for fun? Most new parents are like, I'm sorry, what?
I'm a mom. That's
right?
it.
Yeah, like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, let's reestablish a sense of self. Right. I love identity work. And you mentioned this question too. So stop me if I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, this is good. I think this is a big thing. Like, I feel like I hear this a lot of like people feeling like they've lost their identity after they become a parent.
Oh, honestly, after you have any transition, like I have an entire treatment protocol, worksheet thing, treatment plan, if you want, that's all based on identity work. Because the amount of people that I had coming into my office being like, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am. And I'm like, should probably figure that out. Right?
Yeah.
And there's different ways you can do it. Oh, I should have brought my sheet, but whatever. But part of that too is like novel movement. What do you like to, like, what in what ways can we move our bodies not to achieve like a deficit, but to achieve a smile, to make ourselves happy? You can dance in your kitchen, which is my favorite thing. I'm sorry, put on the Yin Yang Twins in your kitchen. You will be dropping it low. Like, it happens. Our 16-year-old selves come back and it's like, hey, right? I'm like, we can't help it. It's skipping. When's the last time you skipped?
I literally don't know.
Yeah,
Actually, no. It was probably in the studio
Probably.
with
Probably
Amanda.
yeah.
There we
Probably
go.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. She's a mom.
Yeah.
So she gets
Yeah.
it. She's got a toddler who probably skips.
Yeah.
Right? Jump up and down. You want to reset your central nervous system? Jump up and down. Great for your polyvagal nerve.
I have a workout class I do where they do a lot of that. And I feel like this one specific workout, I feel so much better after it every time. And that must be why it's all the jumping up and down.
So much jumping.
Yeah.
It's going on a walk, right? How many memes did we see going on a stupid little walk for my stupid mental health? And it was like, I'm here for it. Go on your fucking walk. I love my at my desk treadmill. I love that thing. My boss was like, the fuck did you just bring into our office? And I was like, don't worry about it. I can hide it. It's fine.
Wait, yours is at the office? Okay.
Yes.
I love that.
My clients are like, what the fuck is it? No, I don't walk on it during session.
Yeah.
I do my paperwork on it.
Yeah.
And it's been a game changer for me because I hate doing paperwork. It's the worst part of being a therapist. All my therapists out there or mental health professionals, y'all know what I'm fucking talking about. It sucks. It's the last thing we want to do. It's not fun, but we have to do it. So I immediately will put my treadmill down. I'll start walking and I'm like, well, while I'm walking, I might as well do my paperwork. Like, it's immediate. I also have a one of those kneeling chairs where it doesn't have a back and I can rock on it. And that helps too if I'm doing telehealth and I'm sitting at my desk, because I do both in-person and telehealth. And my hips were fucking killing me sitting all day. That has been a huge game changer too. So it's just finding these little ways of just tweaking your schedule to put things in. It takes 30 seconds to drop it low. It takes 2 minutes to skip from one place to the next, right? It's these little things that all of a sudden you're like, I don't hate myself right now, right? And if you're a mom or a dad or a parent, however you identify, your kid loves it too. I've nannied off and on basically my entire, from 12 babysitting, all the way to when I was starting in this group practice that I'm in now. And so, though it was a bit of a clusterfuck, because I was working 60 plus hours at that time at 3 different jobs. I was I was building my caseload at my current job. I was nannying 30 hours a week, and I was teaching spin classes. So I was just a chaos tornado, constantly freaking out. But with this little nugget, I absolutely adore her, I would turn on music. So while we ate, because I would make sure too, starting to blend as many things you can with your kids of stuff you want to do. They just want to be with you. They think you're the coolest thing in the entire world. They will just watch and then try to mimic you. So if you're dancing around the living room, they're going to dance around the living room, right? So while we ate, we would rock out. And so I'd play her my playlist for spin, and I'd be like, all right, Nugget has to approve of this. And so while she'd eating, she'd be like, uns, 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 uns. It was the cutest thing ever. And I'm like, all right, Nugget approved.
Yeah.
We're doing this one today. And it was so cute. And so little stuff like that where it just makes you happier.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the point. When you start to realize that you can do these things and they're simple, they're easy, they're meeting your basic needs, as soon as those don't feel like a chore anymore or things you have to remember to do, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I could do these other things, and I can do these other things, and then these too. Or maybe I want to do this. And so stuff like that. It's really, really helpful.
I feel like you're good at that as a parent.
I'm trying really hard.
Good.
Yeah, I'm trying really hard to just have her basically we're gonna live our lives and she's a part of our life, and we're gonna keep doing everything that we're doing, and she's gonna find joy in it too. So it's we're gonna do laundry together, and like you said, she thinks it's so fun because she likes to. I have the little they're not Tide Pods, but Tide Pods in this glass mason jar. It has a lid on it, but every time I do the laundry, it's her favorite thing to grab that thing, and she's throws it over here, throws it over there. And,
nice.
and then she's trying to slam the laundry the door to the washer close as I'm trying to shove it with stuff. But I'm you know what, you're entertained and we're getting the laundry in together. So
we're doing things.
Yeah.
We're making it work. And that's the perfect way to look at it. Is our lives don't have to, again, hashtag not a mom, I have a lot of compassion. Your life doesn't have to stop. Like, it's, you chose, hopefully, to bring this little nugget crotch goblin into the world, right? Because you wanted the addition to your life. You didn't want your life to stop. And I think, unfortunately, there's been a lot of, how do I want to put that? Glorifying the martyrdom of parenthood over the years, which is really dangerous. Like, you want a recipe for just being, like, thinking you're an awful human, create a situation in which martyrdom is a prerequisite, right? Of like, which I love to remind my clients, like, a prereq to martyrdom is death, so let's not consider that, shall we? Right? Of like, and they're always like, okay, fair. Like,
Yeah.
like, fuck you, fine. And I'm like, it's not good. It's not good. And we have to die to get there, so let's not. So I'm like, refute my logic. So with that, right, of like, your life does not have to be your kid or kids. They just want to be with you. They think you're cool, right? Of like, they think you're amazing. If we end up giving up a lot of our lives, a lot of our shit to fully dedicate everything to them, what that could possibly lead to, I'm not saying it's, definite, what that could possibly lead to is that they struggle with independence. They struggle with, like how you were talking about earlier, you let her try and fail. It's so important. They need to fail. And being able to do that in a safe environment is the best case scenario. But that also means they need to see you fail. So if you can't make an appointment, if you can't make a game, if you can't, do something, like, acknowledge the pain, acknowledge the experience, and also, right, of like, cope yourself. They might be disappointed, and if we attempt to try to figure out a way to make it feel more balanced, and with my couples, how I also do couple work. So I talk to them about there's no such thing as equality in a relationship. And usually it's a lot of like, excuse me, right? I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, it's never going to be 50-50. It's impossible. Now, however, I like to use the example of a seesaw, right? Of like, so a seesaw, you need to have what can feel like equal force coming from both ends to make it work. It's the perception of equal work that makes it happen. So it's never going to be 50-50 because we're all built differently. But if we're both working similarly and we're both trying and it feels equal, we've achieved it. We don't want to cherry bomb, right? Yeah. Of like, we don't want to cherry bomb somebody because that pisses us off. We don't want to keep them up top and like strangle their ability to do anything. Mm-hmm. We also don't want to desperately keep it in the middle. Then everybody's pissed, right? Yeah. You're like, I'm trying so fucking hard to keep it balanced. And what are you achieving? A headache, right? So it's like, it's the perception of what feels equal to keep the seesaw moving. So that's similarly with kids.
Yeah. No, that is a really good way to put it. Yeah. So what you were just saying made me think of something else. Yeah. That one of the questions on this list was about like how to deal with, I forget exactly how it was phrased, but it's like the kind of like the guilt of not like sometimes like being like just so like frustrated with everything you're doing where you're just like, I'm like, it's like I don't want to be a mom anymore, or like I don't like, but like that mom guilt that comes with like. Yeah.
Oh, that's huge. That just comes with losing like having a child. Yeah. So mom guilt, I think we could talk about from multiple angles. We can do social, we can do cultural, we can do emotional, we can do all these different things. I think overall, I love to ask the question, why? Why are we having mom guilt? Because almost always it's very specific to the mom, if we're talking about moms, right? Now, it can look like, I don't have fun when my kid makes a mess. And now I feel like a shitty mom because I can't stand it when my kid is splotching paint everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're like, tweak it out, right? You're not a terrible mom. When's the last time you made a fucking mess? Think about it. When's the last time you made an actual real mess on purpose?
Never. Like
I don't think you ever have.
No, I can't think of the last time like an actual mess on purpose. Probably when I was a kid, like can you think of something like?
I'm sure I have, just because I can be crazy sometimes, but it was probably like like moving out of an old place and like making a mess with like the moving, so shit like that.
I've done, or like maybe like while cooking, like it's like sometimes like it just gets like everywhere, like spilling things or whatever.
Or like when you cut broccoli, like inevitably it's like
yeah.
So for kids, when they're making messes, it's again, it's good for their development. They're supposed to be. They're testing boundaries, limits. There's no such thing as looking something pretty when you're that little. It's just like, what does that do? Mm-hmm. Can this fly? Right? And if you make a big reaction, whether it's positive or negative, they see, they hear, and they do it again. Because they're like, I got a rise out of mom. Like, woo! And they're checking something, right? And you're like, oh, why? Right? I'm like, that never comes off the wall, right? It does. Magic erasers exist. For us, it then becomes, all right, this is not that I'm a terrible mom, it's that I have a lack of tolerance or a tolerance issue with this thing. Now that's something we can work with, right? You're not an inherently terrible mom. Like, you're allowed to be like, this stresses me out. You're allowed to say that too. You could be like, this is stressing me out. I'm still gonna let you do it. I might move to the other side of the room while you do it, just so I can compose myself and then come back. Because it's good for your development, right? Everything can be washed off. Like, have you been on Pinterest lately? There's a million different ways to get a stain out. Like the internet is on our side. So, but why does your default potentially go to, I'm a terrible mom?
Because the expectation is perfection, I feel like.
Fuck the social media. Fuck social media.
You know what's so crazy about social media is like within like the first month after having my baby, like as soon as I got pregnant, all my stuff turned to like baby stuff. But
because they read you.
They know. But after the baby came, like all of it was like, parenting stuff, like taking care of babies, like wake windows, sleeping, feeding, everything on my social media, like that was sponsored or whatever, was all that. And my husband had like none. And like there would be like nights where I would be freaking out about something, like I'd be like, she was awake for 5 minutes more than she should have been in this one time. I was just like losing my mind. He's like, what are you talking about? And I'd be like, it's this thing. I was like showing him on like Instagram, and he looked at my Instagram, he's like, what is wrong with your Instagram? He's like, why is this on me? And I was like,
it's trolling you.
And I'm like, don't you have this? And he's like, no. He's like, mine looks, and we're comparing Instagrams, and I'm like, this is not fair. Like, I'm getting crazier because this is just like constantly being like fed to me, and I'm freaking out over it. And it's like, you're just over here like, fine, because this isn't like happening
with your cute dog or cat videos and cars and workout stuff.
He gets these amazing like National Geographic photographers. He's like showing that to me, and I was like, I want that. I need that break. The zebra. I want to see the zebra.
So one of my things that I tell a lot of my parents, if possible, get off social media. I know it's nearly impossible. Girl can dream. But limit your time. So first of all, I ask, like, why are you on social media? Not from like a judgy standpoint, but like a genuine curiosity. Like I always say, like, but I love my clients. They tolerate so much from me. Because like every now and then they'll say stuff like, oh, well, I hate this, or I don't do that. And I'm like, ooh, I smell a theme. And they're like, fuck. Like, no, Claire, no. And I'm like, here we go. Right? Like, I've got you. Mm-hmm. You can't leave. You pay for this. Right? And so why? What is our compulsion? Is it a addiction from like lightly put to full blown? Is it we're worried about something? Like, are we worried that people are going to judge us if we're not on social media? Because some do, right? Is it people are going to be annoyed that we're not responding to things on social media? Whatever it is, right? I want to know why. And it's probably one of the most obnoxious things that happen between me and my clients, and obnoxious for them, not me being annoyed, is I always go, why? 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 I make you think, right? So we figure out why social media might be taking up all this time. Because without fail, parents tell me they're fucking busy. So I'm like, all right. No shade, but I'm going to troll you. How long does your phone say that you've been on social media this week? Nice little feature, huh? Right?
Yeah,
and then they're always like, ugh. And I'm like,
It's always so shocking.
Isn't it?
When you look at it.
It's a suck.
It's like 12 hours a week or something. Like, it's
right?
so scary.
It's a lot. So let's look at the reasons why, from a non-judgmental standpoint, that it might be sucking your time. They hire behavioralists to figure out how to make this shit addicting. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's proven.
No, it's true.
Like,
All apps do that. Literally, that's why they have badges, icons, colors, everything
notifications.
is... Yeah.
Yep. Like,
Everything
bleep,
is
bleep, bleep.
like psychologically
Everything.
designed to keep you on it.
And when you're on them, like, and this is any app. I don't even talk about social media. Just literally any app. Duolingo. Like, when you're on it, they track everything you're doing. So it's like they know the certain things that make you stay on it longer, regardless, you know? So it's like...
it can trigger what can feel like or look like ADHD-like symptoms, where you can't focus, or you might be jonesing for it, right? Of like, or the intrusive thoughts that can come in of like, oh, I haven't done that. Oh, I haven't done that. Oh, I haven't done that. That's created, right? Like, again, not conspiracy theory. It's proven that they hire these professionals to do this evil work of like, how do we keep them engaged? How do we keep getting money, right? So that's why I say without judgment. So if we're able to redirect even 10 to 15 minutes a day, okay, you tell me, how much can you get done in 10 to 15 minutes? You can get a nap in. That might be really, really nice, right? You can go for a walk. You could do, I'm calling myself out. I could clean the fucking closet out that houses all the shit in it, right? I can set a timer and I can panic for 2 out of the 10 minutes and then start cleaning, right? But it's only for 10 minutes, and so I get let go, right? I don't have to be there for all day. It's just 10 minutes. So social media is definitely a time suck. It also makes us feel worse. It's also been clinically proven that it makes us feel like shit. If we're a mom or a parent who's been struggling with their identity, with their ability to like themselves, and their default is constantly, I suck, I suck, I suck, well, social media is definitely feeding that. It's going to make it a lot worse. So it's usually a nice little pool to process is like, all right, how often you on social media, girl?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, okay, so I have a question. This is a selfish question now. But it's like, for us, it's like our job. You know, like we have to be on social media for work all the time. And like that is a way that we get a lot of our clients, which like we love. And we love connecting with our clients. And there are like, obviously there's parts of it that I really enjoy. But yeah, like I also try really hard not to be on it all the time, or try to limit, or try to like create on it more than I consume, which is really hard, because then it's like I'm waiting for it to upload and then I start watching the videos and whatever. But like, do you have tips for Taylor and
Yeah, we like
we
have conversations all the time about how like one of us will go on our phone to like specifically I'm gonna upload a reel. That's what I'm gonna do. I have a reel that's ready to go. I just need to upload it, add music. And 45 minutes later, I'm like, what was I doing on my phone?
Yeah, you
like,
scroll.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I say, let's play their game. When you're on there, your sole focus, usually, right, is a work-oriented thing. And then it becomes a dual thing, or you're doing 3 things at once because they're pulling you in. So why don't we play the game and meet your brain where it's already at? If you need to upload something, start something else before you start to upload. So say you need to be editing photos or other like things at the same time, start doing that, then start to upload the reel. So while it's uploading, you switch back to the photos that you're editing or the content that you're having to write out or whatever it may be. So while that's chugging along in the background, you're doing the thing that you want to hypothetically be doing. You can do block times. So it can be, that's really, really hot right now, right? Of like 2-hour blocks and then a 30-minute break, or the 2010 one, or whatever it may be. But I love that one where it's like, instead of punishing what we already are doing, because again, like I hate that so much. We're so mean to ourselves.
Yeah.
Like we're always like, fuck, why am I doing that? Like I'm so fucking stupid. And then we try to redirect and we feel crappy.
Yeah.
So
and it's like it's designed to make us do that.
Yes. And so like, let's play the game. Fuck it. Let's play the game. So what are we already doing? We're going on there and we're looking at other things. So we're technically doing 2 things at once. So why don't we structure it like that? Like I'm going to upload the thing and I'm going to be doing something else at the same time. Or if you do need to be walking while you do it, do that. So if you do get time sucked, you can look down and be like, well, at least I got my 5,000 steps in. Oh well.
Yeah.
Or like I like doing sensory pairing. So what does that look like? I listen to podcasts because I'm a millennial and I'm obsessed with true crime. So I listen to podcasts while I do my paperwork. One, it gives me a nice emotional separation so that I don't have to re-experience what we've been dealing with in session. And two, it helps me focus. We're in a world where we have constant sound and interaction shit overloading us, right? No wonder we're overstimulated. So I say use it to your advantage. Listen to music. If you like listening to music, listen to music. If you like podcasts, listen to podcasts. If you need a meditation app going, put that sucker on. And then do the thing that you're trying to do. It'll calm that part of you that is like, I can't do silence. I can't do it. Same with if you're parenting and you're like, if I have to listen to that fucking piano play that one song again, I'm gonna lose my shit. Now, here's where I slide in some things for parents is you're allowed to put on background music. It's not overstimulating. Unless you're blasting it, then please get your child some little gadget earphones or whatever. But put on some music so that you can start to listen to that and tolerate being near your child while they're pushing the button to play the damn song ever again, right? Or they make these sound dampening earplugs. Again, I'm going to reference the tantrum thing. You're allowed, especially if you're neurodivergent, if you have any sort of chronic illness issues, our inflammation gets very, very high, and then we become sensory sensitive. So sound, taste, smell, we have a difficult time regulating, just like most neurodivergent people do. Put in the sound dampening earplugs. You can still hear your child. It just takes some decibels out. So you can tolerate, you can breathe, you can do your coping skills. You can walk away, come back. You can do those things so that you feel like a better parent, right? Or at least a human. There's no good book. There's a million. What I love to tell my clients who constantly ask me, and I love them dearly, they're like, do you have a book that I can read? Do you know a good book that I can read? And I'm like, you want to know a secret? And they're like, what? And I go, when I was in grad school, do you know what the joke was? If you want quick cash, write a self-help book. It's the same shit over and over and over again, but fine, if it makes you feel better, you can read a self-help book.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people actually do the things that they read in the self-help books?
Well, also, the self-help books are I feel like all of them could be an essay. They could all be an article, not a book.
Yeah.
I think there's a joke. It's every book could be a blog post. Every blog post could be a tweet or whatever.
Yeah. Condense.
Yeah. Just make it shorter.
So, just fucking make it how many characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to read a self-help book, if you think that might help you, and that's not me trashing all of them. There are parenting books that I suggest. There are self-help books where I'm you know what, knock yourself out. My favorite ones, which I think are making a documentary about the subtle art of not giving a fuck. It's hilarious. Will it change your life? I don't know. That's up to you in the book. I think it's really funny. Mm-hmm. Same with his second one, Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. It makes me cackle. And I'm you know what? If it gives you a moment to reflect on how everything sucks and we don't have to take it too seriously, good for you. But if you pick up a book and you feel ashamed when reading it or you feel guilty, donate it. Please donate it. Because you're just giving us so much more work to do.
That's smart.
That's good advice.
That is really good advice, yeah.
So
I have some self-help books that I can probably donate.
Hey, they can look pretty.
Yeah. I think we have 1,000 more questions.
I know, we have so many
here.
questions, but we've also been here for almost 2 hours.
I know.
And I'm do we
know.
keep going or do we wrap it up so we keep it tight? I don't know.
I don't know.
So we had one person who asked about trying to conceive /pregnancy /parenting after experiencing loss.
Yeah. Good one.
What wisdom do you have for those grieving a prior pregnancy or child loss?
Mm-hmm.
And then dealing with grief while pregnant and postpartum. I lost my sister in October at 8 months pregnant.
Oh, that's
so
hard.
sad. And then I put this question: how to support a friend who's dealing with miscarriages.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so grief. I know how awful this sounds. I love grief. I know. It's also when I'm working with trauma clients, and they're like, I have a lot of trauma. I'm like, ooh, yay!
I love trauma.
I know. I'm like, and I know how bad that sounds. Like, sorry. We suck at grief in this country. We suck at it. We're so bad. Oh my God. Like, we don't have any sort of cultural etiquette around grief. We kind of do, but it's bad. Like, in so many other cultures, you have an entire system, or religions, you have an entire practice, right? There's Shiva. There's like all these other things where it's like, oh, I do this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. Thus is grief, right? Mm-hmm. We are honoring the dead, whatever it may be. So if we bring into the United States, our lovely melting pot of fucked upness, we don't have anything. We have, you have a funeral. Any of y'all been to a funeral? It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird and it's uncomfortable. And I remember one of my friends, she unfortunately died when, what were we, 21, 22? It was the sudden death, like talking about all sorts of trigger warning for listeners of like miscarriage, death, child death, baby death. So she was pregnant. She was 7 or 8 months pregnant, and she just didn't wake up.
Oh my God.
It was traumatizing for all of us, and her funeral was so interesting. So this is before I went to grad school. I don't think I was done with undergrad yet, and I had just recently, I think at that time, figured out I wanted to be a therapist, and so I was transferring out, blah, 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 to a school to be like, I have to go to grad school now. Yay, debt. Anyway, but so at her funeral, like, huge turnout, everyone loved her. Rest in peace, Valerie. And so all of us, we had a really tight core group. I was kind of like the secondary tight core to this group. And they're lovely humans. I adore them to this day. But we're all sitting in a row at her funeral. And during half of it, the officiant, for lack of a better, the dude running the grief thing, the funeral, he said something, and all of us couldn't stop laughing, because we're like, that's so not Valerie. Like, we just couldn't stop laughing, and we were like hiccuping and crying, and it was like a whole thing. And other people were like, what the fuck is the matter with them? And then they realized like who we were her like dearest friends, and they're like, oh, okay, well, obviously they're insane with grief, so we'll let them be. But it was just because funerals are weird. So when we're dealing with grief, I always like to talk about rituals. Like, whether or not you have a religious affiliation, whether or not you're witchy, whether like, whatever it may be, let's find a ritual. Let's mark what's happening for your sanity, and because sometimes it just feels nice to connect with those who have passed. That goes with miscarriage. That goes with child death, with SIDS, with like all sorts of things. I always tease and I tell my clients, like, when my grandpa died, the day he died, I started to eat tuna salad sandwiches every day for lunch for an entire year. That was how I marked.
Was that like what he liked to eat or
we
something?
We would always eat them together. I would go see him and he'd be like, Claire, do you want a tuna salad sandwich?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes. And so he'd make us tuna salad sandwich. We'd eat it with our glass of milk because we're Midwestern, right? I'm like, that's just what we do. And fuck it that I was lactose intolerant. Like, oh well.
You just deal with it.
You just do it. You put a lot of mayo in that tuna salad sandwich and you suck it down. So I ate it every day for a year. It just felt right. Right? And then so I've had clients through our work together plant rose bushes with the remains of their miscarriage, with if they're able to get them if they pass at home, or even without, they'll plant rose bushes. So they're doing an act of love and tending to a child that never grew, right? Mm-hmm. Or a pregnancy that didn't work to full term. And also, I love lighting candles. So we'll light one in my office. Actually, my recent one, shout out to that gay guy candle company in Michigan. I have a candle that says red flag, smells like you should run. So usually I'll write it and be like, oh, we need to light this today. And they're like, Claire, stop trolling me.
We'll tag that kid.
Yeah. He's fantastic. He's got a whole bunch of really cool candles. But right, of like, mark it. Do that for yourself, right? Of like, this was important to you. Whether or not you send up a prayer or a mantra, or even you talk to the child you lost, right? You can have that moment with your spouse. You can have it by yourself. Same with the rose bushes. Talk to the rose bushes. Talk to whatever thing that you're doing to help mark the passing of this person, right? And it can be really, really difficult. It'll be deeply emotional more often than not, but that's okay. We're supposed to be upset, right? When people are like, oh, just get over it. Well, first of all, you can fuck right off. Like, who says that, right? So that question, right, of like, how do I support my friend or my loved one who's experiencing a miscarriage? Ask them what they need. Don't tell them that you're sorry because it might be too intense for them at that time. Just ask them what they need. Like, hey, I'm here for you. What do you need? And they might say, I don't know, or nothing, and just say, okay, I'm here if you need me. Like, you're allowed to offer a non-judgmental space. I love that. Of like, hey, I'm not going to judge. I'm also not going to ask questions. So if you just need to hang out, or if you need an excuse to go get like a pedicure or go on a hike, like, I'm here. And we don't have to talk about shit if you don't want to. That's lovely. Almost always you're going to get a bit of isolation from that person just because they're trying to regroup and heal. And that can be incredibly difficult because at one time they want to be out and about because they don't want to be alone. And anything baby related is going to burn. It'll burn. It hurts so much, right? So many women that I worked with and uterine bearing people that I've worked with, like, they get off social media completely because they're like, the baby shit.
Yeah, it's just
Right?
like,
It's hard.
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. You're allowed to recruit family members or loved ones to be like, can you call these companies to get them off their mailing list? Please. You want to talk about trolling? Social media and the coupons. Oh, the coupons. You're going to get those forever because you logged on to some sort of website, say it was Target, and you were looking at little things for babies. They've got you now, and they're going to mail you all of this shit. And my clients will be doing okay. They're regulating. They're coping, and all of a sudden they get the Target thing, and it's a baby pamphlet. And they're like, boom, just awful. And I allow that. Like I said, you're allowed, right? This makes sense. You're racked with grief. That's an appropriate response. I love to point out the fact that we're having appropriate responses to irrational situations, right? No one prepares us for this. So I love to do rituals. And then actually standing up for yourself a little bit. Being like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. I hate you. I don't want to talk to you. Right? I'm like, that's also okay. You set your boundaries, girl.
Yeah.
Like, you do you, boo. Like, I love a boundary. I have no tattooed on my arm. It's my favorite word. Like,
So I feel like the big takeaway from today is channel your inner toddler.
yes. Channel your inner toddler. I love it. Yep. We're more eloquent now.
Throw
and-
tantrums.
Yeah. Say no. Have yourself a tantrum. Be you, boo-boo.
Yeah.
Like-
Words to live by, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
My other biggest takeaway at this point, I think like every person that has a kid like should go to therapy just because
Please.
it's like it seems like it's like well like it's like it's not that bad or like I didn't have like postpartum depression or I didn't have like crazy anxiety or it wasn't like as bad as X person that I know or something, but it's like it can just be like normal stuff that you're doing in your day-to-day life, but like it's just good to talk about it with someone else.
If anyone of your listeners needs an excuse, because unfortunately we have to diagnose you with something if we're using your insurance.
Okay.
If you're private paying, no one gives a fuck, right? But insurance companies, they have to do their stupid little thing. So they need a reason why you're there. If you're going to someone like me, I will happily work with you, not to defraud because that's illegal and I'm not doing that, but because everyone should have the right of access to therapy, whatever that may look like, whether it's sliding scale, using your insurance, going to community mental health providers, whatever it may look like. So with that, just say, oh, I don't know, you survived a pandemic. We're all traumatized. It counts. And the last thing that I ever want to do with a client is minimize their experience, right? Like I might tease, I might sass, I might be dramatic. I did a diva death drop with a client a few weeks ago because just to prove a point. We don't need to be the worst. We don't have to have the worst postpartum anxiety in the entire world. We don't have to be so traumatized that we're beyond help or believe that we are. Like you can have, I don't know, a pet that dies and just be wrecked by it. That counts. You can be struggling with overwhelm, that fucking counts. Burnout, that counts. Surviving a pandemic, that counts. Living in a current one that's becoming an endemic, that counts, right? Of like all these different things, it fucking counts.
This just reminded me what you were just saying of one question that someone asked, which is, what's the best way that we can, like you were saying, as like, you know, millennial parents, be better parents than like ours were? How can we not inflict our own trauma or like project it on our kids? And would you say it's just going to therapy ourselves?
Honestly, it's probably your most direct way to do it. Because I think so many times, I don't know, like, are you able to, and Anne and I were talking about this too, of like, what's so lovely about a therapist, if you get a good one, and please date around to find your therapist if you have the option. So we don't have an agenda. We don't have a stake in the game. We don't have a horse in the race. We're here for you for that 45 to 55 minutes, whatever your session time is, just for you. We don't feel like we have to balance the conversation with our shit like our friends do. We don't have transgenerational guilt like our parents do. We're here going like, yeah, speak your truth, girl. Like, or, you know, cry if you want, guy, right? Of like, you're going to get zero judgment. So if you're able to get into a therapist, highly recommend it. If not, I will provide the different books and things that are nice to read, that are straightforward, that don't have judgment in them either, that I'll give you guys links to programs too that I really like, with good training and who are judgment-free and very gentle to you as the parent. Because like, we're only just trying. We're shooting in the dark here. Like,
Yeah.
If you mess up, try again. Honestly, like, the last thing your kids want is for you to be an untouchable being on a pedestal. If you mess up and you recover, they then see it's okay to mess up and recover. So,
Yeah.
we'll let them mess up.
I think that's great advice.
That is really good advice, yeah.
Should we do our obsessions on that note?
Let's do our obsessions, yes.
Okay. Anna, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Okay, I made a TikTok about this, but I went down this TikTok hole, and then I shamed myself afterwards. But now I'm going to stop doing this. It doesn't matter, because this one good thing came from it. So I'm on this TikTok hole, and I get this woman who's, like, talking about how she has, like the hair on her face, and she's there with, like, her daughter who's, like, 12, and she's just like, yes, like, we're both hairy. She's like, I do this on myself. I do this for my daughter. And she has this, like, little thing that's, like, it literally looks like almost like the bullet vibrators. It's just, like, this small little, like, tube. And she's, like, just rubbing it on in, like, circular motions on her face, and she's, like, all the hair's gone. Like, it just shaves it off. It's like a little electric shaver. And I'm like, what? Excuse me. So immediately I buy it. It comes to my house, and like just like the very next day I try it. Amazing. Wow. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't like no irritation, no nothing. I was just like going like this all over my face, and I'm like, all this like peach fuzz, which like mine is black because I have dark hair, and I'm like, it's just gone. And I was so shocked, and I love this thing, and it's called like the flawless something. I'll link it. The flawless tool, whatever. Anyone that has a facial hair should get it. Oh, I was also using it on my knuckles. I have knuckle hair. Knuckle hair went away.
Wow.
Ooh. And it's like great because it's like the small spaces where it's like it's kind of hard with your razor, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The hair on the tops of your toes.
Yeah, I did that too. It's all gone now. Yeah.
Wow, I'm super intrigued.
Yeah.
Okay, send us the link.
I will.
Immediately,
I'll post the link. Yeah, everyone needs this.
Okay, my obsession this week is beading. I had a craft day with a couple of my girlfriends this weekend, and one of them brought beads, and I was not even like planning on doing this.
Wait,
but
were you doing this with Megan?
No, it was Hannah brought her beads.
Megan would be so proud of you.
I know. I think Megan would be really proud.
Yeah.
And she just had all like this big thing from Goodwill of like random beads.
That's my happy place.
It was so soothing.
Yes.
It like unlocked something in my like my inner child was just like having the time of her life. Yes. We sat there for like 3 hours just sitting there beading, and we all got so into it, and like I made 3 bracelets.
Yay!
And now we're all like, okay, we got to get more beads, and like we're just like this is like our new soothing activity that we all just like don't want to stop doing.
Can I come next time?
Yes, you can come. I'll show you guys my new bracelets after we finish recording.
Please do. Yeah. Because do you want the neurochemical reason as to why it's such a good idea? It's meditative.
Yes, 100%.
That is so good for your brain. You're making your hemispheres of your brain calm down. Like, your cortisol reduces, your oxytocin, your dopamine, serotonin spikes. You're able to re-regulate your blood sugar. Like, you can re-regulate your blood pressure. Like, it's so good for
Wow.
you. You're also doing, like, that, like, hyper-focus work that's really, really good for your brain, too. Like, get on it, girl.
That's so cool. Well, we know I need more dopamine, so.
Yeah.
It's funny because my mom was really into beading when I was a kid, and I would like sometimes join in, but like mostly it was like her and her friends would do it, and I'd be like, "Why are you guys so obsessed with beads? Like, why do we always have to go to the bead store?" And now I I get
now
it.
you know.
I get it.
Now you know.
So I have become my mother. Is what the
Nice.
moral of the story is. Yeah.
All right, my obsession. I've got two, but the one is similar to yours. It's like this. I'm gonna forget the name of it now, but it's this like red current thing. It's basically what it does is it makes like a zapping noise, and it's
Is it like a laser thing?
It's like a wand. It's kind of like a laser, but it's in this glass current thing, and you can like put it on your face, or like how I got into it was that when I get sugared, I get a lot of ingrown hairs because I do a lot of fitness stuff, so I wear super tight clothing. And so she's been doing it like afterwards as like a treatment, and so I got one for at home like a day ago. And I use it on my face too, and it brings the blood to the surface or whatever, so it helps heal stuff faster. I fucking love this thing.
Oh.
And it's a little freaky, because if you're not used to it, if you're like turning it up, it'll create like tiny little zaps, like when it gets to something. So if you're a little masochistic, like it's really nice, because you're like, it's working, right?
Yeah, is it like the same satisfaction as like popping a zit, kind of?
Yes, because it's like, bzz, bzz,
Yeah.
bzz, bzz, and it's
Yeah.
like, ooh, it's working.
I need this.
I'm
Okay.
so
Really
intrigued.
cool.
Yeah.
I love
Please
it
send us
so
the
much.
link.
I will absolutely send the link. And like you can use it for like hair growth. You can use it to calm your fucking hair down if it's really like frizzy. Like it's got all these different things. It's opened my eyes. I love this fucking thing.
Wow,
My husband's
okay.
like,
We're all
what
gonna
the
be
fuck
zapping
is that?
Yeah, I know.
It's really cool. I like it. And then my second one is my mala beads that I recently got. I went to Denver to visit one of my best friends, and she took me to this store called Tibet Imports LLC in Denver, and it's owned by this adorable little Indian couple. They're a little older, and the wife reads your birth charts. Now, whether you think it's real or not, this woman is on the fucking money. She got everything right so far. She called out something that was going to happen on the 10th. It happened. Like, something happened on the 10th, and I was like, so I love these mala beads that are over here so I don't bug the mic. But, like, I'm obsessed now.
Wow.
I know.
Wait, do you follow this girl? Her name is Ida on TikTok. She's like, swear to God, she was just talking about getting her like chart read at a place in Denver, and I'm pretty sure it's the same fucking place.
It has to be this one. It has to be
crazy.
this one. And they pick out a set of like she read my chart very nonchalant. She was like, "Do you want to record this?" I was like, "No." And she was like, "Okay." And she's like, "I'll make notes." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, boom, just writing all over this thing of like dates and matter of fact statements of like, this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, this is gonna be important for your marriage, and this will be during this time. And I'm like, what? And then she's like, oh yeah, you have like dry skin. It's on your face, your lips, because I got sunburned when I was in Denver hiking, which sucked. And then she's like, your back, and then your right leg. On Tuesday, before I went, last Tuesday, I got a tattoo on my right leg. I was in full leggings, and I was like, how the fuck did you know that, bitch?
Wow.
So yeah,
I guess we have
now.
to go to Denver.
I guess we do.
Gotta go to Denver.
We can podcast from there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Maybe we can interview her for the podcast.
Please do it. Oh my God, do it. Oh.
Like she could read our charts and we can record it as an episode.
Oh.
Do you think she would?
Yes. 100%. She does it on the phone too. Like before I went back, she was like taking like orders on the phone. She was like, yeah, all you have to know is your place of birth, the time you were born, and obviously the day. And then she like prints out, or her husband printed it out for me, but he printed out like this chart, and then she just wrote all over it.
I wonder if we can get her over Zoom to
my
do it.
God,
with
that
us.
would be
That'd
so cool.
so
That would be
okay.
really cool.
We'll
You
be sending an
absolutely-
email after this.
Yep, Tibet Imports LLC.
Okay.
She's fucking cool.
I'm excited about
Oh,
this.
what a great obsession.
Like, I feel like our eyes have just been opened
Yeah.
in the last however
loved
long we've
coming.
been
This
sitting
was
here.
so
This
fun.
was
Thank you so much for doing this. And
for
we
sharing
have
all your knowledge.
so many more questions from the posse, so we will definitely be doing a part 2 at some point soon.
I'd love to
get
join.
through the rest of it.
Can you tell the posse where they can find
yeah.
you?
So personally, my Instagram is Claire__Therese on Instagram. And then my group practice that I work at is Blue Leaf Mental Wellness Center. We're in Vancouver, Washington. We're on Officers Row. It's really beautiful. Looks like a Beatrix Potter situation. There's bunny rabbits everywhere. And then so if you would like to schedule an intake, we take a lot of different insurances. All of us right now are only licensed in Washington, which, so if you live in Portland, that means you would have to drive across the river. I know, big ask. But some of my colleagues do have openings. If you're interested in working with me or my boss, who also has a wait list, we're happy to chat with you and figure out what the best case scenario is and how long the wait might be. But yeah, we are open to a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah.
Amazing. I'm excited for the Peach Posse to come
I know.
after this.
Tea Posse.
Yes. You can find us at nakedpeachboudoir.com, at Naked Peach Boudoir on all the social medias. We started a new TikTok specifically for the podcast called at Peach Posse.
Peach Posse, yeah.
At Peach Posse.
It's new.
That's
It's
cute.
new.
Yeah, it's new. It's linked in the episode description too.
Yes.
So, you can
So we're
like,
just
click on it
posting the
from
pod
there.
clips on there. So if you guys want to talk to us just about the pod clips. Yeah. But limit your social media, but
But definitely interact with us.
Yeah.
Obviously. Just include it within your window of social media time.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Love yourself. Go to Naked Peach Pod.
Okay, and then you can find me at Anna McLaughlin Photo.
You can find me at T Smells.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.